Hi, my name is Paul Harris, and I'm delighted to be here today to talk with you about REDCap, and really appreciate the invitation from the REDCap Con Hispano 2024 team. I'm faculty lead for REDCap and the REDCap Consortium, and my topic today is why REDCap. So I'm going to put the bottom line up front on this one. I think the reason I recommend REDCap to folks is that I think it's great software. I think it's backed by a great administrator community. Many of the people on this particular call or video, it's a professional home for folks that work in clinical and translational research often, and especially in the data management components and pieces. It's a software that's available throughout the world, and so we have a lot of really innovative and clever researchers that use it in ways that we would have never imagined at Vanderbilt had we not shared. And then finally, we get a lot of great feedback from those administrators and researchers that go right into prioritized development to make it even better software. So that completes sort of the circle back up to the first dot. I'm going to speak for about 20 minutes today. I'm going to try to keep it relatively brief, but cover just a little bit about REDCap and the REDCap Consortium for those who are brand new. And then I'll spend the bulk of my time thinking about or sharing some information around selected features and functions, and especially what's next. So REDCap was formed about 20 years ago to support really to be able to support research teams in any type of clinical and translational research in a way that was secure, that took really good care of the data, that allowed sort of a choice architecture, that it was easy to do the right thing if you were designing and managing data for studies and trials, and that it was self-service for our research teams, because we wanted it to grow really big here in use here at Vanderbilt, and then eventually around the world. We started really small with 3 modules. One was case report forms, just getting the data in. One was adding people to my study, and then another one was audit trails, to be able to sort of make sure that we were recording who did what to the data at any given time. Over the last 20 years, we've developed many new features and functions. So it's much more than those modules now. But that was sort of the origin story of it. It worked really well at Vanderbilt, and so we again started creating new features and functions, not necessarily so that everyone could be used on every given project, but they're modular, so that a particular project might be using feature A, B, and C, and another one might just be using A, C, and F. So we really wanted to keep it self-service. That means modular, and we believe that a big part of our success has been sort of building things out so that it's easy for researchers to assemble those building blocks specifically for their studies and trials. I want to talk a little bit about the REDCap Consortium. We started REDCap about 20 years ago. So I would guess about 18 years ago, we started the REDCap Consortium, just sharing it with other institutions that also needed a really lightweight approach to help their research teams collect and manage data in a compliant way with data security standards. We made it available and still make it available at no cost to academic, nonprofit, and government organizations. This slide is a little bit dated, but we have somewhere north of 7,200 institutions across over 150 countries now, each licensed to support standing up their own REDCap instance and supporting their own researchers. It's a vibrant community, and it's growing. We're still getting we're now getting, I should say, about 1.7 new partners per day. So there's a lot of growth happening, even with these large numbers. So this is my favorite why REDCap, or why the consortium matters slide. It's a little bit busy, but I think I can walk you through it really quickly. It's how we do business, how we prioritize what goes into REDCap next. So if we start on the left-hand side in the bottom, our leadership team is looking at what to develop next, what modules to develop next, and that equation for what gets prioritized includes listening and learning from many researchers and administrators around the globe. Also includes trying to figure out funding models and how we can justify building features and functions that we can support with funding. But all of that kind of goes into the prioritization piece. That then we move forward into the engineering piece where we build, test, and disseminate first to the REDCap researcher community, and then usually a day or two later to the larger research community, where the informatics teams then download, put in the new version, learn new features, train their researchers, and support them, and then they hand the software off to researchers who then go do really interesting things. I said earlier, the nice thing is on the right-hand side of this infinity diagram, we've got a lot of feedback coming from the informatics teams and also the researchers through those informatics teams. They get fed to the REDCap development team leadership, and that's where we kind of start that cycle again. So it's worked really well. We've been about 20 years in operation. We do about one functional release per month. And so you can do the math and realize that, that's where all of those modules that I was talking about earlier, that's where they're coming in. REDCap, another why this matters, why REDCap is that, it's not just sort of building infrastructure. It's not just sort of creating dots on the map, but a lot of teams are using it to do, really important science. The paper on the left is what we call the marker paper. This was our original description of REDCap. And one of the things that we ask researchers to do when they're publishing their studies is cite that publication. By citing that publication, we're able to look at bibliometrics that tell us, who's using it and for what, because we can't otherwise see what's in another group's REDCap installation. So we just kind of pick up the impact after the research completions. At least at the time that I put this slide together, we were over 29,000 citations to that particular paper, and it gets cited somewhere north of 1,000 times more than most papers that are tracked by the National Institutes of Health. That's that relative citation ratio. If you kind of look at the research areas where people are doing publication, you see that public environmental occupational health is number one, followed by pediatrics. But I wanted to include this slide, this bibliometric slide, because I think it shows the depth. I was only able to show one screen here, but you can see if we go over into that third column, we've got projects in music and water resources and nanoscience, nanotechnology, things that again are way outside of the scope of the researchers that we originally thought we would be supporting. And so that's very gratifying, and I think it speaks again to that model of deploying good solid software, having good solid teams behind that, and just letting researchers do what they do best, and that's innovate. We're starting to see REDCap as a platform more for empowering large research programs. So another reason, another why REDCap is it's really supporting big science at this point. I won't go over the different logos, but these are logos of programs that again have heavy funding. They're doing large types of programs, not just projects as I've been describing so far. And REDCap has become sort of a foundational element in the technology suite of those programs. So I'm really proud to see that happening, and we're seeing that happen more and more these days. So I want to pivot now to talk about a few of the REDCap features and functions that I thought would be interesting here. One is the REDCap Library Oversight Committee. We started this one a number of years ago, I think maybe back in 2009, to basically make it easier to bring in validated instruments into your REDCap project rather than having to hand key those case report forms or surveys all by yourself. You can see that, we've had over 200,000 downloads from that shared library. Again, it's just sort of a convenience, make it easy to find it, make it easy to use it type of approach. But we've also partnered with the Promise Group, the Phoenix Group, the CDIS Group, who if you do the some types of research, specific types of research, you'll recognize those partner organizations. And so we've had some good collaboration with a lot of really smart people to sort of put this together. And I should say, especially for this presentation, that many of those instruments have been translated into the Spanish language. E-consent is a big one of the big feature that became very popular back in the early days, especially of COVID. When trials and studies started to become remote, and even clinical practices started to become remote, and REDCap was sort of especially the e-consent piece was really an enabling feature and function. I don't have the numbers in front of me today, but I would say we've seen, the last time I counted, we'd seen maybe 5 million transactions across all of the REDCap partners. So the e-consent module has been very, very popular. And as I'll mention in a few moments, we're also just about to release an e-consent 2.0 feature. A multi-language representation, this is something that especially as we as the world look to diversity, equity, inclusion, we want to recognize that REDCap may not be able to solve all of the problems there, but we want to solve the things that we can. We want to make it easier to do the right thing than the wrong thing. And so one of the key principles of equity and inclusion include being able to communicate. And so we've spent a lot of time working a year or two ago with a colleague from Germany on creating a multi-language management module that makes it really easy to represent the same survey or case report form in multiple languages, as you see here. We have accessibility for lower resourced participants, so SMS messaging, as you see here. We have a relatively new mobile app called MyCap. It's been out there a while, but we just reworked the technology last year and released it in the REDCap base code. MyCap is designed for participants who are participating in longitudinal studies. So not just one survey or not just one visit, but multiple instances of interaction. We've seen some really, really interesting use cases coming out of MyCap, and also we're seeing a lot of really good penetration across the consortium with institutional researchers picking it up and starting to use it. So that's something we're keeping an eye on, and we hope you do as well. Key MyCap features include, it really is a mobile app that's designed and looks a little different than REDCap, but because it's meant to really go along with that participant for the duration of the study or trial. You see some of the screens here. The first one is just user management. The second one is a series of tasks, which it looks like for most of those, other than the last one, are surveys. The last one being a tapping speed active task, which we'll talk about in a second. There's a calendar feature that you can see in the third panel. One of those active tasks in the fourth, that's not the finger tapping, but it's another fitness task where the phone would ask an individual to stand up and walk in a straight line for 20 seconds. So it's able to sort of capture the things that like accelerometers and hardware and software devices that are unique to smartphones. And then finally, we've got communication features, as you see in the last panels there. So we're really proud of the work done in MyCap, and hope that will be of good use to you all as well. And then I think this is the last one on the features and functions that I wanted to draw out on the why REDCap. This is called the REDCap repo. It's a repository of external modules. external modules are a great way to customize REDCap. So if REDCap can get your researcher 95% of the way, but they just need this one other piece, whether it be, you know, changing how REDCap actually operates or adding on a module, as you see here. We have this framework for external modules so that individuals with programming skills can sort of code things up in their own, apply them to their own local REDCap instance so that specific studies or trials have access to them. And that all happens without needing to support changes in the actual code base of REDCap. So it's version forward friendly. Here's an example of a pain map that a colleague at Stanford developed a number of years ago. But again, it's just one of many examples of how people are using REDCap external modules to customize. Okay, so just a few more slides, and then I'll cede my time. Looking forward to 2024, I'm particularly interested in decentralized trial-focused work. So a few things that we're working on there. I mentioned this earlier. We've learned a lot of lessons from the researchers and the research community of administrators in e-consent, and that e-consent module that I mentioned earlier. So we've gone right back to the drawing board, and we're looking at, you know, expanding and extending the complexity of the consent process when and if needed for specific studies. I look for this to come out somewhere in the probably in the Q2 timeframe of this year. We are working hard on an advanced randomization framework. So for studies that need more than just the basic randomization functionality that we've created and deployed in REDCap for you know, at least a decade. You know, we're in the process of enhancing that one with some really cool features. And I want to point out Luke Stevens from Murdoch Children's Research Institute, who's helping lead a lot of that work. And then finally, participant compensation. This is one of my pet areas of interest, because it's just too hard to efficiently compensate participants for studies you know, here at my institution. So we've come up with some ideas for building in a third-party integration with a company called Tango, and allowing the REDCap workflow to be able to sort of distribute the gift cards of choice to participants. I'm not exactly sure when we'll drop that in, because there's a lot of moving parts, but I'm really hopeful that we'll get it in this year. So I want to stop again after I say thank you to the organizers. I'm always happy to take questions and always happy to hear comments. My email is here, paul.harris@vumc.org, and just wish you the best of luck with the rest of the conference. Thank you.